For entertainment purposes only. Welcome to Three Lions and a Packet of Crisps. Episode 4, play on! With your favourite mole in the hole, it's the Dirt Locker. And if you've made it to episode 4, fair play to you. We're going into extra time. So it's ahead of England versus Ghana, Tuesday 23rd of June. The unofficial FIFA 2026 World Cup podcast. Sponsored by BBK Entertainment, Black Belt Karaoke. You bring the singing, we'll come out swinging. Whether you're dancing in the moonlight or risking it in a bar fight, we the karaoke for you. When the singing is a little bit frightening, we protect you from the lightning. There ain't no party without some Bruce Lee karate. T's and C's apply. Right, let's move on to the show. I'm on full cyclone. I've got the old jam jars on today. It's too hot for the old pollen catchers, for the contact lenses. If you suffer with hay fever like me, them kamikaze flies don't need a second invite. Nothing worse than you scratching your eye out with your contacted and a fly buzzing around it. Real world issues, save a midgie, save an eye. That's what I say. Protect the old butter shutters. Not on my watch. Safety first. Inequality's a photo finish. You'll find no discrimination on this show against humans, flies, or even the blind. Talking about on fire, there's one at the minute, isn't there? The World Cup. Well, two. Lionel Messi breaking records, but the second one I'm going to talk about is Brian Brobby. He mustered the other night for Holland against Sweden, and he's arrived. And I think he'll play a lot more games than probably expected now. We just need to have a little chat about it. So the coaches haven't worked it out. They haven't worked it out in the Premiership, and I don't think they'll work it out at the World Cup in time. But how do you stop Brian Brobby? I have a theory. It's only a theory. I'm not saying it will work, but basically put someone small on him. I think the worst thing you can probably do with Brian Brobby, he is a problem because if you go size for size, he's stronger than them. I've seen enough now to know that he is strong. Probably the strongest player I've seen in the Premiership, which is a bold statement, I know. But I haven't seen anyone manhandle people like he does from behind like that. Literally moving them around, dancing to his tune, basically. And maybe he's like someone like Martinez, the centre-half at Manchester United, the Argentinian. Someone small, always up for a battle, might be able to nip in, can be a little bit naughty. That might be the way to do it. But if we play them by the rules and we go on size for size against them, or even bigger than them, I'm confident he'll win that battle. So then it gives you a problem of do you get tight or do you drop off? Which either way you do it, you put two on them, one in front, one behind. If you're doing that, then obviously someone else is free. He is just a problem. He's a big problem. And I think on the back of this World Cup, if not already, I think some teams will be looking at him as an option and maybe thinking, listen, we can get him for 80 million, 70, 80 million now. I don't think he'll go for any less than that from Sunderland because, like I said, he's only been there a year. How many players leave after a year? Not many. And certainly not ones that's doing really well. I think he's happy there. He's already been at big clubs. He's been to Ajax, so he's already been to big clubs. So that's not even like a motivator for him. I mean, I know there's big clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, etc., but they've got the attentions elsewhere at the minute. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but Brian Brobby, he's arrived at the World Cup, and I think we're going to see a lot more of him. Which then leads me on to basically Holland and Japan. So the two teams last week, I think I tipped Holland up to be one of the first big teams to go out. And now I said Japan and dark horse as well. I think both proved me wrong. I think Holland had a fantastic performance against Sweden. Another thing, just while we're talking about Brian Brobby, another thing is Holland and Sunderland set up very similar, but they play different ways. Holland like to get round the back and whip the ball back. And you've seen Brobby score goals like that. You've seen him at Sunderland score goals like that. But if he can turn them 6 goals a year into 20 goals a year, you've got a player there at Sunderland. Right, let's quickly reflect on England versus Croatia last week before we make our predictions for the Ghana game this evening. It was a game of two halves, wasn't it? You saw the best of England, you saw the worst of England. Let's talk about that first half. Some of the problems we had Kane dropping too deep too often. He gave the ball away once, which nearly ended up in the back of our own net, but he held his hand up, he took responsibility for it. But the reason he was dropping so deep was because our defensive line was so deep. We were trying to play out from the back on our own goal line at times. Pickford didn't have his best game, but let's be honest, he was due one. If you're going to have one, let's have one in the first game of the group stage. He just needs to keep a lid on that passion and that emotion. He just needs to keep a lid on it because he starts to look reckless. I think he should have had the second goal as well. Pickford in form saves that with his leg. But his defence wasn't helping. And Tuchel didn't help him because what Tuchel did was he took Mark Guehi out and put John Stones in. And I told you last week he'd play Stones, and I think he might play him again tonight. But what that created was, I feel like Concert is still playing the Southgate way, slow, boy you to death football on the back. You brought John Stones in who plays exactly the same way. Very composed, and there is a place on the pitch for composure, but I don't like it in the heart of my defence, especially when a team is going to play a high press and they're going to rely on you making mistakes, which we did in the first minute. We nearly got punished for it, and it continued from there. It was literally first half, rinse and repeat. We'd get 3-4 passes away, and then we'd go for a long ball, kick it over the top, and hope Madueke or Gordon could get onto it. I can't really blame Gordon for his first half performance. He just wasn't in it. He just went down the other side more. It was just going all down Madueke's side, and to be fair, he didn't have a bad game, Madueke. But what I want to touch on, something I want to talk about in the podcast, it's levels. So how do you go from being a very good player to being potentially a world-class player? And I want to talk about the levels here. And I'm going to talk about three players. We're going to talk about Marcus Rashford, we're going to talk about Bellingham, and we're going to talk about Saka. Them three players, when they were on the pitch together last week, or on the pitch for England, should I say, in their performances, you saw the levels. And what makes the difference between a very good player to a world-class player is experience. You can't buy experience. Rashford has played in the Premiership from a very young age for one of the best clubs in the Premiership, if not the best, Man United. He's been in that club from a very young age. God knows how many apps he's got. He's played for Aston Villa, took them on an unbelievable cup run, and he's been outstanding for Barcelona this year. Coming back from diversity, from poor form, recreating himself, and now being one of the most wanted players in Europe. And whether anyone likes that or not, that is what has happened. Marcus Rashford has just showed you the difference between him and Gordon and what levels are. And for me, Bellingham, right, he just grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck in the second half. Grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, kicked the ball off, ran up the half, held someone off, dribbled through, scuffed it in, bottom corner, in off the post, not a problem. That's what world-class players do. That's what the best do. And when you look at Rodgers and you look at Bellingham, listen, it's disrespect to Bellingham to think he shouldn't be starting that position. He's done it at the highest level. He's won things at the highest level, and he's won them at the biggest clubs in Europe. Listen, absolute top player. And he got us out of trouble against Croatia for me, because what happened then, from that half-time where he scores that goal, we just get better and better. And then Saka came on for Madueke, and you see the difference in quality. Just that 20 minutes he was on the field, however long it was, you just saw him giving you something else, giving you a bit more. Madueke had a decent game, but Saka came on, and he beats people with his skill, where I think Madueke beats people generally with his pace. I'm not dissing Madueke there. I think Madueke had a good game last week, and he's definitely changing my opinion on him. And I'm starting to see what people see in him, but Saka's just that next level. And again, another player from a young age, he's played for a top club, he's won trophies, and he's doing it at a top level. So, listen, that's levels. What's the difference in levels? When you've been there, done it, got the t-shirt and wear the cap. So that was last week's performances. Great goal off Harry Kane. I want to touch on that header he got. I think it was a lot harder goal than what people give him credit for. They just said it. A lot of people said, oh, he was free. Why weren't they marking him? He still got to put it in. It was an unbelievable finish. And really cool, calm, composed finish from Marcus Rashford as well for the fourth. But we've got to look forward to tonight now. And it's England versus Ghana. So what can we expect? So I think England will only make one change. And I'm not saying any team news. I think he'll bring Rashford on the left in for Gordon. I think he'll keep Madueke on the right. I think he won't risk Saka because he doesn't need to. And I think he might keep the same centre-half partnership. And I don't know why, because last week it was a horrendous first half. But I think he might just continue to see if he can get minutes into Stones. He mustn't be at a place where he's happy with them. And I think he's trying to get a match fit, which we might see a better performance from than what we saw last week. But I think you'll still have the same problem. Them two players aren't playing at the same pace as the rest around them. So for Ghana, who are their threats? I think it's Calabiarenki who scored for them against Panama. He's a youngster in Europe at the moment. He's really well wanted on the transfer market. There's a lot of rumours going around about him. And obviously there's Antoine Semenyo who plays for Man City. We know everything about him. So for that reason, I think they do have two threats. I think them two threats are more of a threat than what Croatia could ever pose to us. So I'm going to make an England prediction of 3-1 tonight. This is the prediction, probably not to put money on. But other than that, the podcast is over. So thank you for watching. If you're here for the 4th episode, well done. You know, you're digging in. You're sticking with it. There's not much going on. But hopefully it gets a bit more exciting when we get the knockout stages. I'm going to leave you with a song. I know you like it. So I'm going to leave you with a song. And I will catch up with you next week. And hopefully England get the job done tonight. Thanks a lot for watching. Classic. Only bangers at the Dirt Locker. Stop recording.